What's going on, WWE fans? You're watching The Ring Report, where the wrestling never stops. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's break it down! The night opened with an eerie tension, unlike anything the WWE Universe had felt in years. Monday Night Raw, usually a storm of cheers, chants, and chaos, stood wrapped in a rare, focused silence. The arena lights dimmed to a chilling glow, casting long shadows across the ring where Brutus and Bronson Reed stood as unmovable sentinels, their presence alone enough to stir unease. Logan Paul watched from the corner with a quiet smirk, less arrogance, more anticipation, because everyone knew something monumental was coming. The Titantron lit up with a stark symbol of the Vision, and in that moment, the entire arena seemed to hold its breath. At the top of the stage, Paul Heyman stood behind a simple podium, an unusual choice for a man known for theatrical entrances, yet somehow it heightened the moment. Beside him, draped in a velvet cloth, was an object that seemed to pulse with significance. When Heyman adjusted the microphone, even that small motion carried the gravity of a historic revelation. His voice somehow soft, but you can snarling, drifted through the arena with a clarity that cut deeper than the usual storm of his rhetoric. For months, he explained, that the WWE Universe had been trapped in their own theories, guessing, speculating, and obsessing over the identity of the mysterious figure haunting Survivor Series and Raw. But Heyman insisted the real mystery was never about identity. It was about worthiness. Who possessed the intelligence, resilience, and strategic brilliance to reshape the WWE from the shadows? And more importantly, who among all possible candidates had the vision to lead this new era? Every word tightened the atmosphere, drawing all eyes to the veiled object beside him as the stage was set for a reveal that promised to change everything. The symbol unveiled. Heyman lifted a hand with theatrical calm before removing the velvet cloth, revealing not a person but a framed black suit jacket. Perfectly preserved, unmistakable in design, and instantly recognizable to anyone who had watched WWE through its most ruthless corporate eras. It was the suit jacket of authority, the symbolic armor worn by the most powerful figures to ever shape the company's direction. Fans reacted with confusion first, then dawning realization. This jacket represented not just leadership, but control, legacy, and dominance. Heyman's voice rose into a resonant boom as he connected this symbol to the mysterious force responsible for recent chaos, the man he described as the architect behind several calculated strikes on top WWE competitors, the mastermind of shifting alliances, and the unseen strategist orchestrating events with near-surgical precision. He wasn't hiding his identity out of fear, Heyman insisted, but out of deliberate and methodical design. Tonight, however, the time for shadows had passed. The architect was stepping into the light, prepared to reveal his face and claim his place at the pinnacle of the new order. The reveal of a legend. Suddenly, the arena plunged into darkness. Then a single spotlight exploded onto the stage, illuminating a lone figure standing with his back to the crowd. He wore the same style of suit that hung in the frame, his posture straight, commanding, radiating familiarity even before he turned. Time seemed to slow as he rotated to face the audience, and when his face finally came into the light, the collective gasp that swept the arena felt like the air itself collapsing. It was Triple H, the Game, the cerebral assassin, the King of Kings. A man whose presence alone had reshaped eras, defined rivalries, and altered the trajectory of the WWE countless times. The reaction wasn't a cheer or a chorus of boos, it was pure shock. A stunned silence that carried more weight than any chant could. For years, Triple H had been the executive force guiding WWE from behind the scenes, shaping the future of the industry with a steady hand. But tonight, he was no longer behind the curtain. Tonight, He was stepping directly back into the war. Heyman's introduction now made perfect sense. If the Vision was a collective of strategists, innovators, and leaders, then Triple H was its ultimate architect, someone who understood both the corporate machine and the battlefield of the ring. He wasn't returning as a nostalgic cameo. He was returning as the leader of a movement. The game rewrites the war. The implications rolled through the arena like shock waves. The landscape of WWE had already been torn open by rivalries, fractured alliances, and a rising battle for dominance. But the return of Triple H in this capacity introduced a whole new dimension, a power struggle that blended the authority of the boardroom with the fury of the ring. Triple H didn't need fireworks or a lengthy speech. His presence alone carried the gravity of an announcement. The corporate era and the competitive era were no longer separate forces. They were colliding, and he was standing at the center of the impact. With the Vision now under his leadership, the balance of power shifted instantly. Their previous actions, strategic assaults, shocking alliances, and relentless pressure on the industry's biggest names, took on new meaning. This wasn't chaos for chaos's sake. It was design. It was order built through disruption, and for the first time the WWE Universe began to understand the scale of what they were witnessing. Roman Reigns and the battle for supremacy. One question echoed louder than any other. How could Roman Reigns respond to this? The tribal chief had dominated WWE with a dynasty, built on strength, loyalty, and psychological warfare. He had overcome challengers from every angle, icons, legends, and emerging stars alike. But Triple H represented a different kind of threat. Not just a competing leader, but someone who possessed influence beyond the ring. Someone who had shaped the very environment Roman ruled. The collision between Roman's tribal empire and Triple H's vision would not be a simple rivalry. It would be a clash of philosophies, strategies, and legacies. On one side stood the force of dominance built through bloodline and battlefield. On the other stood the architect of eras, wielding strategy and authority with equal precision. The war ahead promised to be one of the most compelling in WWE history. Corporate power versus tribal supremacy, authority versus dynasty, the Vision versus the bloodline. And unlike anything seen before, the battlefield would stretch far beyond a championship match. It would seep into decisions, alliances, opportunities, and the future of the company itself. A new era begins. As Triple H walked down the ramp, with the measured confidence of a man who knew precisely what his return meant, the WWE Universe felt the shift in real time. This was not nostalgia. This was not a cameo. This was a declaration that a new era had begun, one shaped not by chaos, but by intention. The game had returned not to revisit his legacy, but to expand it. And the Vision, armed with strategy, power, and purpose, now had its leader. The story ahead promised upheaval, transformation, and confrontations that would define the direction of WWE for years to come. And as the arena buzzed with disbelief, excitement, and anticipation, one truth rang louder than ever. The game wasn't back to play. He was back to lead.